Hey guys, welcome back to the channel where it's a cold, windy, and rainy day here at the top secret shooting facility. But we're going to go ahead and instead of sitting on my couch playing Xbox and being cozy, I'm out here for you doing a review on the AirMaks KRAiT X. Now, you guys have been asking me for the review on this for a while, but it was winter. So I got this gun at the end of 2023, and it's not really fair to air guns to be trying to review them when it's negative 10 degrees or even 30 degrees Fahrenheit outside. So I told everybody once it hits about 45 degrees, I'll go ahead and review this thing. And guess what? It is 44 degrees outside. So let's give it a shot. This gun is the Mark II. I initially, some of you might remember, had the Mark I when it first came out, and I hated it, to be honest with you. It had a bad reg in it. But since then, AirMaks has listened to their customers, and now all of these guns come with a Huma regulator, and it is a fantastic reg. You're going to see how consistent it is in a minute. But that's enough talking. Let's get out there and shoot. I've got a target at 50 yards. I've got a clapper at 100, and I also have my typical 150-yard gong out there at 150. And we will shoot all of them with this gun. And I know that this gun is extremely accurate. This has been in quite a few of my videos lately. I shot an NRL 22 match with it, came in third. It definitely can perform, and it's kind of become my go-to gun for testing scopes because I'm always able to hit that 150-yard plate with it. So when it comes to testing like digital scopes, I always use this gun. And actually, this gun was in two of my previous reviews for the Arkin Zulus night scope and also the Oneleaf NV400. So if you want to see those, go check them out. I'll leave links for all that stuff in the comments. But for now, let's get to shooting this thing.
All right, we're in the top of the shed here where I've got this case stored. This is the stock case it comes in. Just wanted to show you this before we start shooting. So it's a nice case, but it doesn't fit the gun with a scope or a moderator on it. So that is one of my gripes about this gun. At least it comes with something, but once you mount a scope, it's kind of a little bit too big to fit in the case, but you can maybe use it for some of your other guns. So you've got, of course, your manuals. They're going to shoot it for you and give you a little grouping card there. And the gun, as it comes, will come with one magazine and your fill probe. And we'll show you a little bit of a close-up on the gun, how I've got it set up next.
All right, let's step into our favorite heated shooting shack brought to you by Vevor, where we've got the diesel heater cranking. And man, I love that thing. I'll leave links for the shelter and the diesel heater because if it's a cold area you live in, you need that because this has revolutionized the shooting area back here. So anyway, let's look at the gun. So this one is a little bit decked out from the factory. It's got all factory mods on it. So number one is the monopod stock on there. Really nice. So it's got some adjustability here. I'm going to reach this lever on the other side. Then I can put down the monopod like that. So this is great for bench shooting and just a great stock in general. It's got the bag rider there, which I'm using on my lab jack. And then the actual stock is fully adjustable. It can go up and down. These can go in and out. And I found that to be pretty good. It's got a plastic cheek rest up there. And you know what? Before we get into more about this, I have done two things only that are not stock. Number one, it comes with a brass fill probe. Now, I told you one of my gripes was the case, that it doesn't fit the gun with the scope. The other one is going to be the fill probe. So it comes with a brass fill probe. That's going to get beat up by the metal ball bearings in your Foster fittings. First of all, this gun should just have a onboard check valve one-way fill nipple like most guns, but it doesn't. So what I've done is I actually bought a stainless steel one. You can get those from Utah Air Guns, and I just leave it in the rifle. So that one's been really good and very cheap, about 15 bucks. So that's the only thing I did to it other than adding a digital gauge. And we can see here, I've got my reg rate at about 140. So we have the Huma reg right there, very easy to adjust, sleek, very nice. AirMaks was nice enough to hook up the double magazine holder, and honestly, if you're going to buy this gun, get that. It's super sweet. The mags just click in with a little ball bearing. I don't know if you can see it up there. Mags hold 16 rounds in 22, which is what this is. I'm shooting the 28 grain Zans, and basically you just drop one in, wind it, drop another one in, wind it. So no preloading or anything, just load it in a circle, and that works really nice. The mag holder was super awesome when I was in that NRL 22 match because sometimes you need to do a mag change as part of the stage. Just a little bit of a closer look at these mags. So they're mostly machined aluminum. I think the back plate is like a polymer, and so is the wheel. So you just drop one in, index it, drop another one in, drop another one in, just keep indexing it like that. So you should know that I'm shooting 28 grain, and I tried fitting 30 grain javelins. This magazine doesn't really have the depth for anything like over 30 grain. The javelins, the 30 grains were kind of hanging up a bit in there. So if you're planning on shooting like 40 grain slugs or maybe even 34s, you should probably rethink that. So something around 28 to 30 is probably going to be the max on these. So just a little FYI for you guys on the mags. But other than that, they're really smooth. They work good. And you see this little mechanism in here. It's got a anti-double feed. So a little peg comes out and goes into one of those and holds it. So if you cock the rifle twice, you won't double load. At least in 22 caliber. I don't know if it's on the 25, but you won't double load a slug, which is kind of a cool feature. You don't see that often. All right. So we do have the AirMaks can on there. That's the factory one. It's super quiet. It's kind of big, but it's super quiet. You'll see this gun is very quiet. What else? I've got a Thunderbeast Arms KRAiT bipod on there. That is a super nice one. I did a review on that. Actually won that from an NRL 22 monthly drawing. So that is very cool. Thank you to the NRL 22 and for T-Back for supplying that. And then it was a pick rail version, but I put a adapter on there, which is super nice. And that was a cheapie off Amazon for like 45 bucks, but it is just as good as a $100 competitor. All right, so let's take a look at the other side of this gun here. So the side cocking is ambidextrous. I can move it from left to right. It actually came on the left side. I moved it to the right. The bottle on these guns is going to be 300 bar, which is awesome. On this one, it's a 580. On the KRAiT X, I think on the L version, it might be a 480. I've got this thing filled to right a little bit under 275, and even though it's a 300 bar tank, that's going to be just fine for our purposes today here for this review. Up top, I've got an Element Helix first focal plane. I've got a Monstrum mount on there, and I was a little curious about that company, because that mount's really cheap, but it's actually super nice. Like, look at the machining on it. It's not bad. So I got that on there, a little bubble level, and then my side shot scope mount so we can get some footage for you guys. But that's basically the gun. It's a 22. It does take AR-15 grips, as you can see there. And I don't know if you can see, but that grip has a bottom that comes out so you can store some slugs and stuff in there. And I don't know. Other than that, it's a nice, accurate gun. It's got a CZ 17.7 twist rate 22 barrel in it that shoots slugs really nice. I think it's unchoked on the X model, unlike the L and other shorter models. So we're going to take a look at the accuracy at 50 yards, 100, and 150. So let's get right into that. I've talked long enough. Thanks for sitting through this, guys, but definitely important to hit on some of the features of the gun before we get started, I think. So let's do it. Since I told you about the factory case not having enough space really for the rifle with a scope, and wow, the wind is really kicking up. It is blowing my little heated shooting shack all over the place. So hopefully this review will turn out okay, but hey, I like shooting in the elements to show you guys. But anyway, I wanted to show you this case before we start shooting. This thing is really nice. I got it at Harbor Freight for, I think, 100 after a coupon. And oh my God, I hope this thing doesn't blow over. This is crazy. But 100 bucks with a coupon code, 160, I think, without it. Vevor makes a duplicate of this, and these are really nice. They've got wheels on the bottom, and they're very, very rugged and hardcore. So you've got your pluckable foam in there. You see my charging cable for my digital gauge, and that digital gauge is super cash money. You definitely want that, so I'll leave links for that in the description and comments. And all those Amazon links help my non-monetized channel, so appreciate you guys doing that and keeping this channel commercial free. Anyway, you've got my little slots all plucked out there for the different slugs and stuff. And overall, just a really nice case. Like, you could throw the gun downstairs in that thing and it would be totally fine. So anyway, now that the wind is kicking up insane, let's get to shooting.
All right, the best day to be reviewing guns for accuracy in super rain and wind? Probably not. Not sure if you guys can hear the wind, but hey, you know, I had the Sunday free, so we're gonna do the review. And it is definitely pretty rainy and windy. So keep that in mind. But I think as a true review, using it in the actual elements is a good thing. So you can see how it performs in a little bit of adverse conditions. So I'm a fan of that. So let's get to it.
All right, I think we're ready to go here. I've got the gun gassed up to around 270 bar. I've got the FX True Ballistics chronograph there with the grain weight set, so we'll be able to see the power and the velocity. And if you can't see it on this film, I'll go ahead and show you the shot string afterwards, because on the new version of the FX True Ballistics, with the new firmware, it stores it inside the device. So like you don't even need to connect a phone, which is pretty cool. So yeah, let's get to shooting. First, we'll start at 50 yards. My gun should be roughly zeroed. I'm gonna grab a mag, turn on my camera. Okay, that's looking pretty good. And let's go ahead and start shooting some groups here. And again, it is raining. Some people say that rain affects trajectory and accuracy. In my experience as a competitive shooter and hunter all my life, it does not. So one thing that will affect it is wind, and it is plenty windy out there too. Well, let's start at 50. We'll start on the shoot and seas here. Okay, 972. Very nice. I feel like I pulled that. Let's see, maybe I can get a little bit more stable here. You know what? I might use a bag. Oh yeah, that seems better because we do have the bag rider. I'm not sure what's going on there. Check my reg. Still at 140, good. And one thing about this gun, I have not even touched the hammer. It's just however it came from the factory. I have not even touched it. All right, maybe it needs to warm up here. I did lube these slugs up a little bit, but I noticed that the magazine got hit by water, so let's shoot one more at this one here. All right, we'll start over here. So that's not bad. Usually this gun will stack them at 50. So of course, since I'm filming it, it's not, but let's see if it will. Okay, there we go. Just needed to warm up a bit, I guess. Okay, so that's the type of groups that I usually see at 50 with this thing. And let's go ahead and shoot one more. Wait, was that 5? I don't know if that was 4 or 5. So I'm just going to shoot another one at that one just in case. And watch, I'm calling it right now. This is going to be the flyer. Nope. Wow, that's good. All right, let's shoot. Well, hang on. Let's see. I've got 6 shots left, and since I just removed my magazine, I'm going to have to take it out for a second. We'll shoot all 6 at this one and see how we do. Okay. I told you, this gun will just stack them. I mean, you can't even tell that those are, because they're just all going through the same hole. Okay, so that was 6, all through the same hole, right around 970 FPS, and we're pushing about almost 60 foot-pounds out of 22, which is pretty good. So, now what we're going to do is I'm going to tell you what the reg's at. All right, so it was at 270. Now it is at about, I don't know, about 235. So that's about the efficiency you're going to get. And when this thing is full to 300 bar, I think I can get like 4 or 5 magazines out of it. So let's go ahead and shoot the 100. I'm going to actually go up 2 clicks and then reset my turret, and we'll dial to about 8 1/4. So keep in mind, I just went up 2 clicks because those were all a tiny bit low at 50. So let's do this. I've got another mag of 16 loaded. So what we'll do is, let's go, if I can keep my count straight, we'll shoot 8 at the 100-yard plate out there, and then I'll try to launch the remaining 8 at the 150 4-inch plate, and we'll see how many times I can hit. So I'm going to go ahead and dial. I got to get in the habit of actually dialing for these videos, because normally in my daily life I hold over, but it doesn't make for the best videos. All right, so here's another mag. I've now dialed for 100. I'm going to set my parallax on the helix here. All right, let's just try to hold right in the center of that thing. Wow. And we can see on, look at the grass. It's windy out there, quite windy. Oh, wind's picking up. So I think I have 2 more. All right, kind of rushed that last one. But all right, so there's 8 right there in the wind. Now we're going to go to 150, which should be 15, 16, 17, about 18. Dialing for about 18 there. And I'm going to go ahead and get situated on that. All right, let's see how many times I could hit the 150. I see some wind. It looks right to left. Let's just try to hold a little bit to the left. Make sure my level's straight. Okay, that was a miss. Hit. 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 Miss. Hit. And that was it. So that was 6 out of 8 on a 4-inch at 150 in wind and rain. Not bad. Not a bad day of shooting. Let's take a look again at the 100-yard. So we'll go up there and we'll actually measure that. But man, it's pretty windy. And still, if you're using this for hunting dead squirrel all day, and mostly, you know, if you're using it for PRS or competitive shooting, the plates at 100-yard are going to be about 3 inches. And let's just measure with my reticle. So the largest spread is about 3 MOA. So that's 3 inches. So you're on target for PRS and precision shooting all day with this thing. So, okay, cool. Let's go up there and take a look at these targets. All right, walking up to the 50, and it is windy out here. Even at 50, you can see the little shards blowing around in the wind there. But the first 5 shots, I noticed that the shed dripped a big gloop of water right on my mag. I tried to blow it off, so I don't know if it was just the gun warming up because I hadn't shot it today, or shucking off some water. But so that was our first one. Look at that second sub MOA group right there. Just, I think that was 5 or 6 shots right there, most of them through the same hole, and that was 6 shots. Looks like 5 of them out of 6 right through the same hole. So this gun does not play around, and neither do I when I'm telling you it's an accurate gun. So, and you just saw, I just shot a 4-inch plate out there at 150 yards a whole bunch of times. And as we get out here, it gets a bit windier. I want you guys to listen for this wind because it's pretty gusty out here. And we'll take a look at the 100-yard. All right, here's the hundo. And we've got 2 or 3 shots right there. And not so bad. I know that this gun in calm conditions can shoot MOA in 100-yard because I've done it. But again, it's rainy and pretty windy out here. I don't know if you guys can hear it or see it, but That's how we did at 100. And then my 150 that's out there, we're not going to be able to see it, but it's a 4-inch plate sitting right there. And yeah, we clacked it, I think 6 out of 8 times. So that's pretty good, man, for an air gun, right? A lot of 22 rimfires can't even do that. So we'll go back and head to the shooting shack, and I'll give you my final thoughts on this thing. All right, let's take a look at our shot string. I don't know why it says 21. Maybe some of them didn't read in this rainy weather, but we'll work with what we have. So, well, first of all, look at that. Very low standard deviation, 1.76. That's that Huma reg working for you. So let's take a look here. We'll go all the way up. All right, so there's shot one. Again, I have not even touched the hammer from the factory. I've just left it whatever it was set at. And look at that consistency, man. That is pretty good with the 28 grain Zans. Very consistent regulator in these things. Now, I'm sorry about it missing some of the shots because there should have been 32 on here, so we would have had a little bit more data. But, man, that is pretty good. Pretty good. Very impressive. I think pretty good is an understatement, honestly. But anyway, there's your shot string. And let's wrap this thing up. All right, now that we got the shooting and most of the review out of the way, let's finish up with some final thoughts here. So, number one, I want to say thank you to AirMaks for really listening to your customers and eventually just saying, you know what, forget the first regulator design. It's not good. We're going with Huma. That was 100% the right choice. And you guys just saw it in the consistency of this regulator. It is fantastic. It doesn't creep at all. And it makes for an accurate gun. So with the gun, the way it was set up before with that bad reg, I couldn't get very much accuracy out of it because it was all over the place. But now you saw it. This thing is a laser. Now, today it is pretty windy. So the 100 yards, it was still a little bit under 3 MOA. And that was just me holding in the center of the target, not trying to play the wind at all. But I think it's important to give you guys real world, truthful stuff. So that's the type of content I strive for. But we do have a little bit of a wind block here up to 50 yards because the forest right there. And you saw after that thing settled in for shooting the first 5 shots, it was a laser. And that's the kind of accuracy that I made the choice to say, okay, I'll risk my #1 in the world standings to use a gun that arguably isn't really set up for NRL 22 for a match. And I ended up taking 3rd overall. And that's with a bunch of, 22 rimfire guys with very expensive rigs and a lot of experience. So this gun is fantastic for the accuracy that you get out of it and the regulator performance. One thing I didn't mention earlier is AirMaks also hooked up their Arca rail. So that's why I have the Arca rail bipod on. So the only things that are not stock on this, but they are still AirMaks parts, are the Arca rail. We've got the double mag holder. We've got their moderator. And we've got their bench rest stock on it. So everything else is factory. You're going to get the same accuracy out of just the standard gun when you buy it. I would suggest getting a couple of magazines because this gun, it went down, I think it went down 70 bar for 2 magazines. So do the math. I think my 4 to 5 mags per fill is accurate, maybe even a little bit more in the summer when it's hotter and your gun's performing a little bit better. So yeah, I would highly recommend checking these out. Utah Airguns is going to be the distributor for the AirMaks KRAiT. I'll leave a link for it below. And I hope you guys thought this was helpful. I owed you guys a review on this for a long time, and there it is. So this was not a different slug testing review or anything like that. So I found that the 28 grain Zans work really good in this. They're 218 diameter, by the way. And then you're going to see some more content out of this gun for sure. And I may do a little bit of different slug testing. There's a guy that keeps hitting me up in like the comments of every video, including the video I did for these boots, talking about where's my different slug review on the KRAiT. So I don't know what that has to do with boots, but I'm going to try to take care of that guy eventually. But for me, it's like, if you found a slug that really your gun likes and you saw it likes these slugs, you should just shoot those. So I'm going to continue shooting those, but maybe we'll try some other stuff out in the future. Anyway, getting a little long-winded here. Hopefully this was helpful for you guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace. All right, if I can take a standing offhand shot at 150 yards on that 4-inch plate on film with a scope cam, which makes it more difficult, I'm going to throw that in as an Easter egg at the end of this video for you sticking around and watching the whole thing. Oh,